Hello and welcome to Beyond the Bio. This week I'm joined by Naomi Rose, who is a content strategist helping business owners create content that attracts clients and drives sales without living on social media. Naomi's story is anything but typical. In 2018, she left a 9-to-5 to follow a passion for baking. With no hospitality experience, she opened a cafe and bar and turned it into a six-figure business in less than 6 months. During the pandemic, Naomi crowdfunded a bakery, raising 17 grand from more than 300 supporters. And just 3 months after opening, she won Britain's Best Loaf Award. Love it. Today, Naomi focuses on helping business owners create content rooted in connection, clarity, and consistency rather than chasing platforms, trends, or algorithms. Her work is all about creating content that sounds like you, works in the real world, and most importantly, converts. Naomi, welcome to Beyond the Bio.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited about this conversation.
So am I. There's so much to unpick here. And your journey is fascinating because you've gone from a 9-to-5 into running a cafe with no hospitality experience. What did that experience teach you about visibility and how to attract customers?
Do you know, so much. Actually, what really helped was before I decided to kind of quit and go into that, I was running working in digital and marketing. So that had been my background. Actually, my real background is I'm a classically trained musician. So I'm a cellist. So I play in orchestras. And I ended up getting into events from that. But I loved the spreadsheet and the organisation side as well as the performing side. So I went into arts management and then naturally kind of fell into the social media world because then social media was just becoming a thing and I was the tech person in the company. So I liked online stuff. And it was really from there that taught me a lot about audiences, understanding customers and understanding their behaviours, because when you have 140 characters on Twitter to try and get people to sign up to stuff and buy stuff and support various different things, you have to be really smart with understanding what you need to say. And it was actually knowing how to connect and relate to people, understanding their behaviours from only having a very small window online that made me feel no, I wouldn't say the word confident. I definitely wasn't. It felt like my pants were on fire most days when I was setting up the cafe. But I thought, actually, I know marketing and brand and visibility. I don't know hospitality world, but I like to eat. I have been on the customer side. I like to go out. Actually, that experience is probably enough for what I need and I can figure the rest out. That was how it ended up kind of going.
That does make total sense because you do need to understand it from that client perspective or customer perspective. Otherwise, it so easily goes wrong. And you grew that business to 6 figures in under 6 months. What were you doing differently then when it came to communicating with customers?
I think the one thing I learned was honesty, transparency, and I knew what kind of experience I wanted people to have when they come in the business. I knew what, when they walked through the doors, how they wanted to feel. I wanted it to be friendly. I wanted it to be warm. The building was a 1920s building. It was the first place that electricity had come into my town. It had so much history that had been hidden over time, but it had that brilliant kind of, this is going to be relaxing. You can come in, there'd be jazz music playing. It was kind of that cool but not trendy kind of vibe, and you could bring your dog, you can have a lovely time, and that's what I wanted to create. And I had to replicate that online, but I had to understand the audiences first. I had to understand my customer base because I knew some of them would probably be older, they'll be coming to a market on a Thursday paying cash, they're not going to be on socials, they were going to be elsewhere. So I was like, right, okay, I've got to be involved in the local community. This was a community business for the community. But then I'd have other groups of people that were like the NCT mums that were probably in what I called the Moaners and Groaners Facebook group, which admittedly I wasn't in, but my husband was. It's about thinking, who are the people that are likely to come here? Because I wasn't the only coffee shop. Like, I'm not the only content marketer now, but other people appeal to different needs and wants and what people like. And it was building that kind of reputation and connection with people. And my team were really friendly. I was so privileged to work with some amazing people, but they loved the dogs, they loved the people. We knew the names. Usually we knew the dogs' names before the owners. But, you know, they knew their regular orders, they knew all of this information, and it made that familiarity. People felt like part of that family, and that's exactly what I wanted to create. It was that family feel, and it that vibe was came from my grandmother, because the business was named after my grandmother, because she always wanted to own her own tea room. And
Oh,
her ethos in life was find the solution, not the problem, because she lost her sight at 87, even though she still looked after the elderly at that point. But she loved baking. So she just got scales that talked. They were called Jeeves. She figured out ways to carry on doing what she loved. And that was the vibe, and being that kind of hospitable person, that was what I wanted. And it was translating that online and people being able to see that was really important. Although I will say, probably for the first 2 to 3 years, all they saw were pictures of cakes and scones and cocktails online, because I didn't want to show my face. I hid behind the brand. So,
uh,
it was a real big learning curve.
I bet there's so much to unpick within that. One of the things you were talking about there was kind of building trust, and obviously you must have done that really well to have had over 300 people supporting the crowdfunding for your bakery. How did you build that level of connection with people? Because that takes it to a whole other level, right?
Yes. Do you know, when I was thinking about doing the bakery, it had been an idea in the back of my mind, and I knew I was going to have to do sourdough. I did not like sourdough. Just to be clear, I did not get on with it. It was took too long, but I knew it was going to have to be a thing we worked on. So we did. It was painful. It was 3 months of failed loaves. I mean, we worked really, really hard for it. And when I was thinking, okay, I've got a space, I think it would work really well as a bakery. How do I raise the cash? Because I didn't have the capital in the bank. We were going through COVID, staying level was really important. And someone said, well, why didn't you crowdfund? I thought, actually, this is genius. It's the best marketing campaign ever, because if no one buys it, it doesn't go ahead. No one wants it. But if I'm going to do this properly, I need to do it properly to see whether it's going to work. I need to put it in and do a full scale launch of it. Like, it's got to go everywhere. And that's exactly what I did. Now, for full transparency, like, I was on the socials my thing. I had an email list that didn't get emailed very regularly. There was probably about 300 people on it, to be honest. It was one of those jobs that used to get done as and when. And I worked with a PR team. Even though I could do my own PR and I knew the journalists in the local area, I didn't have the capacity, so I worked with them. And I decided, right, okay, I have not got an audience. I've got my customers, but we're in COVID, so not all of them were coming out. I can talk to them, talk about it, talk about my plans, get them involved. Some people wanted to give me cash. They can't do that on crowdfunding, but they don't do online stuff. So we had to find a slight workaround for that. But what am I going to have to do? And one of the things I did that really helped was, one, the PR, the press, the local press, working with them, getting the story out there. I did video content, but the biggest thing I did was go to the local mayor and say, this is what I want to do. He was really active in the local Facebook group. He had a huge reach. Not only that, he was also a massive supporter of mine and had drunk through the entire cocktail menu one evening. I mean, that is dedication to the cause. So I'm like, I need you to help me. If I want to get this crowdfunding done and build this bakery, which actually people could do a bit of a positive story right now, because it was a really tricky time. It was the hokey cokey period of COVID, where we were going in and out of lockdown, out of lockdown. Half of my team were in lockdowns because it was over a border, half of them weren't. It was just like awful time. And that's what I did. So I put a full scale promo plan. I went with Kickstarter crowdfunding program because I thought it was the one that most people would know. And I spoke to other bakeries that had done crowdfunding, other businesses that had done crowdfunding successfully, because 75% of them fail. And I found out what it is that they did. And it included things like making sure that the rewards are no brainers. So it's looking at how you reward the investments and give them scalable opportunities, so people can get involved from as little as £10, but they can then invest up to 750 if they want to. And actually, that was kind of part of it, keeping people updated, talk about it all the time, helping, get the people in with the mayor. I spoke at networking events. I went out, I did everything. I thought, if this is going to work, I have got to do it this way. And it did. And actually, we got the money. The target was 15K, and we got that with 10 days to spare. It was a 30-day campaign. And then it just went up from there, which was amazing. And it was such a good campaign. And it made me realize that actually my business was so much more than just my cafe and bar. It was a community. They wanted to back it. And it was part of that kind of vibe. And I brought them with them. Everybody came with me on that journey. They wanted to support it. They wanted to be part of it. And it felt something really positive. It seemed quite small to me because it's like, I'm just going to bake some bread. But I realized how much people needed something new, needed that kind of something to look forward to and be part of something that actually succeeded in the town because it was really struggling through COVID.
And what happened with that business? Because you don't have that anymore, right?
No, once the crowdfunding was completed, once I managed to work out how to do sourdough successfully, which was, I will not kid you not, 25 mil of water difference from what we were doing was the change. That was it. That is how scientific it was. We are literally like, it felt like I needed to put my lab coat on to try and make it work. So we opened it in January 22. And then we went to Britain's Best Loaf Awards 3 months later, and I entered the team without them knowing. And I wanted to go mostly just to do a bit of networking. It was a food event, you know, I love a food event, but also just to get feedback. And we went and totally surprised we were one. I was less surprised because I thought my team were brilliant, but you know, it was really such a reward for both them and the people that invested.
What impact did that award have? Because we talk about awards quite a bit on this show, and I'm a firm believer that the right type of awards, and that's really important because there's some terrible awards, but the right type of ones can be transformational in a business. What sort of experience did you have with that?
Oh, it was amazing. I mean, the sponsors were British Baker, which is one of the biggest baking publications there are out there. I got national press, I got local press.
Nice.
It increased my sales because people wanted to come in and support it, you know, and it really helped put us as one of those bakeries that had won on the map. You know, and believe it or not, there were actually World Bread Awards. We were invited to go to the World Bread Awards. I was like, wow, I didn't even know there were World Bread Awards. But that award was definitely the best one in the industry you could possibly go for. So it was a real big achievement. But what happened, and I remember the conversation with my head baker was saying, right, this is it. This is really going to make a change for us. But then the war in Ukraine hit. So we had all of the stock. Getting flour was so hard. Our suppliers went from 3 days to 14. So I spent 10 o'clock at night after shifts running around. And this is before the bakery shift came in at 2 a.m, getting 25 kilos of flour from supermarkets because there was no way to get flour. And everything went up. And I didn't have the bar to support because the bar wasn't open, and the bar was the cash cow of the business. And because of COVID and because of the restrictions, it had been shut, and people were happy to give up a cocktail over coffee. They'd still come in for coffee, but that was the bit that really supported the rest of the business. And without substantial cash flow to keep me going for what I would guess was going to be another 2 years of floating it, because that was how long we were going to have to recover. It wasn't just going to happen in a month. I had to make the choice to close the business and step away from it, which was so unbelievably difficult. But you have to read the room. And it's like, well, I could start going online. I could do production online, but I'm paying at high street rates and high street premium on rates and rent.
A difficult business to be in, that kind of business.
Yeah.
I mean, hats off to you for getting it to where it did, I think. And even now, you know, it's even more challenging around sort of all the things we're seeing in the economy at the moment. So
yeah, and I was really, I mean, I got lots of grants. So I probably got about 100K worth of grants throughout that business as well, which was, you know, amazing. But I've worked in the charity sector. So for me, I know how to do grant applications and what people are looking for. Some are easier than others, some are more complicated. But how anyone in that industry can survive without those grants is really, really tricky. And you think it's just a cup of coffee. The operation to get a cup of coffee out there is just immense, and all of the details that go into it. So it was so many ways, it was an incredible learning experience. It really threw me in the deep end, and it taught me so much more about business so much quicker.
completely imagine that. And now, obviously, you're focused on content, and you've got so much experience and doing so much great stuff in this space. If you had to define good content in 2026 in one sentence, what would that be?
Good content is about you. That's simple.
Yeah, interesting and very relevant to us on this show. Okay, let's delve into that a bit more. So many leaders say that they don't have time to create content. What would you be saying to someone that's running a company or leading a business who feels like visibility or creating content is just another job on their list?
This is always going to be the really hard balance, because I know, having been in marketing and having done like massive campaigns of all different shapes and sizes, you could do 24 hours of marketing a day and still not get everything done that you want to do to get visible. But if you're not showing up and you think, well, I've got enough clients now, I don't need to do anything, it will take you longer to build that client list back up. People don't know you from one post. People don't see you by doing one email. It takes a lot longer for you visibly coming out, saying the things that you want to say, being yourself, talking about your business, because we've got to do that as well. But it takes time because we are thrown so much information. This is why I always look at stuff from a consumer or a customer or client point of view. Like, I behave like my ideal clients. Like, I will go and scroll and I will see what attracts my attention. What do I actually read? What do I stop and swipe? Or what videos am I inclined to watch, which I am not a video watcher. That's not my thing. My ideal clients are, I'm not. So I'm very observant of my behaviors versus theirs. But if you're not doing and not being present in strategic ways, it's not about being everywhere doing all the right things. It's about being in the right places for your ideal clients. If it's networking at local networks, do that. Focus on that. Use social media not to be there all the time, but just to back up that reputation, tell those stories. But people will be drawn to you because they like you, that they connect with you and they feel like you hear them, because we're really selfish at the end of the day. And it's all about that kind of what goes on behind the scenes of, we're thinking, how is this relevant to me? Do they get me? Do they understand me?
What are the biggest mistakes that you're seeing founders and CEOs making when they try to show up online? Where are people getting it wrong?
I think the biggest thing is hiding behind their business. I think at the moment, I think it's, and this is like the difficulty between being a brand and being yourself online. But actually, I've always found with content throughout, and I'm going back 20 odd years, it's the posts where you're transparent and honest and you show up just as you, what's going on in the real world, which can be really hard, that will make the most sales, that will get the most visibility, and will actually build trust quicker. And I think that is actually really difficult to be yourself, because we're scared of what people might think of us. Actually, most people are more scared of what their family and friends will think of them. That is the biggest judgment. And also, online feels, unlike a speaking event, online feels permanent. Like, we've put the information out there, and once it's out there, it's out there. What happens is people don't know what to post, or they're post and praying, or just trying to keep like it ticking along. So now, like, it's easy to go to AI and just create a quick post. What happens is you post that onto, say, Facebook or Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever. It will know it's with AI. It will know it's not your tone. It won't get served to people. So it's finding that balance of using AI for helping you create the content, but not allowing it to be the final word. So it's a brilliant tool for that. It can come up with so many ideas, and it can help repurpose, it can help change stuff, but you have to be the final draft.
Just go back to something you were saying around the stuff that actually works and that more sort of personal bit, and maybe showing exactly what's going on. What would one simple shift be that can make content convert better almost immediately? Like, if you would give me some advice right now, what one thing should I be doing?
I think the biggest thing that people miss is actually giving people an easy way to buy. Like, that is the simplest one. So a simple call to action that is right for the platform. Like, do not put a link into Instagram. Don't do that. That's not going to work for you. No one's going to click it, and actually Instagram doesn't like it anyway. But when we are thinking about audience behaviors and customer and client behaviors, when it comes to marketing, you need to think about how are they going to find you? What's that very start point to what's that end point? We need to know what that journey is. So it could be that a lot of my clients can take 3 to 6 months before they even consider converting with me, sometimes longer. So sometimes it's about making sure that they know what the next step is, those really easy visual cues to keep moving them through. But actually, one other tip that I use, and I find this is so effective, that is so easy to do but people ignore, is small talk. Like, I hate small talk. I've owned a cafe and I'm not a big small talk fan. I've got very good at it, but actually I've learned from having that cafe, it wasn't about the coffee. It wasn't I mean, the coffee was good, don't get me wrong, people did come for the coffee, and people like consistency over everything. Like, you do not serve them a different kind of latte every time, so why change the wheel when it comes to your marketing? Do you know what I mean? It's the same thing. But it was those small talk conversations, like, how's your son doing? Oh, what's going on with you this week? How did bingo go? All of these things that would come up, they were I would call it their cash machine chats. Like, you'd sit while they're paying and you have these chats. And it was that connection that got people coming back again and wanting to not only support you more often, but buy more. And we ignore this in our content. Like, I remember doing a challenge called AI to Authentic last summer. It's one I'm going to bring back later this year. But I gave people the prompts to use into ChatGPT, but I made sure it included those little bits of, put one thing that isn't about your business in there. And it's those connection points that actually got clients in for customers. So we forget that little bit of small talk. Like, we think we're boring. It's the boring stuff that people can hook onto. It's so simple. I talk about Ruby. Like, Ruby is my dog, by the way. And I've literally have made sales off the back of my dog. Like, people have said, I've got a dog. I know you. I can trust you because you've got dogs. You get it. I'm like, yeah, I've got one dog. It feels like 7, but I've got one. So, there is 2 things. Make sure you know where you want people to go, but also don't ignore the small stuff in everyday life, because people can really relate to that. And the more relatable you are, the more they'll feel seen, known and understood, which will then build that connection, and they will start to trust you more.
Love it. Love it. Before we wrap up, what platform would you say is the best for connecting with clients at the moment?
Totally depends on your audience.
I knew you were going to say that.
I love Instagram, right? I love Instagram as a platform anyway. I will do that one as I call it my primary social media channel. Email does really well, but actually what works more so than not is that personal connection, the personal outreach. So I actually spend time having actual conversations in person and outside of that. But I do find Instagram gets me the best results a lot of the time. So I kind of will do slightly more random stuff on Facebook that can often it's hit and miss with me on Facebook. Sometimes my ideal clients come through that, sometimes they don't. And I'm noticing my feed is changing a lot on Facebook at the moment. Things are changing quite a lot. But Instagram is definitely my preferred channel. But then some people I speak to, I'm like, they will have been focusing all their energies on LinkedIn. And when you talk about their audience, you're like, are they actually going to be there? Like, I don't know if they are. I'm like, okay. But actually, for some people, social isn't the right place for them. It could be in like local communities, or, like I say, like Facebook groups. With the cafe, I kept like social ticking over, and things like scone of the week. Didn't miss a scone of the week post because people got angry about that, because they expected it. It was that routine. But like I say, it's the Facebook groups. It was the offline marketing. It was sponsoring the Christmas tree. It was leaflets. All of these things were the ones that worked for my visibility there. I'm a big Instagram user. I think it's such a versatile channel for what I do and finding my clients. But it is definitely about finding the right channel for you and what works.
Testing that, as you've described.
Yeah.
Amazing. Love it. Naomi, if anyone watching or listening hasn't come across you before, where is the best place for them to find you? I think you're going to say Instagram.
Definitely come to me on Instagram. I am Naomi C. Rose. C stands for Claire.
Amazing. Right. I will make sure that we've got the link to your Instagram in the show notes to make it super easy for people to connect with you. I've really enjoyed our chat. You've got me thinking about different things I'm going to do. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you for listening. If you're serious about growing your profile, take our free profile assessment quiz to see where you're at right now and get hints and tips on how to improve your score. You'll find the link to the quiz in the show notes. If you've enjoyed the episode, it would be mint if you'd subscribe, like, and leave a review. See you next Monday.